On Friday, October 10th, Harrah's Hoosier Park will present a huge card of racing with over $2.2 million worth of Sire Stakes finals for the Indiana Breds. It's a really good card. $80,000 worth of guaranteed pools throughout the card. You can get free PPs and watch all the action live by checking out the QR code that's on your screen. We're going to discuss one of those sequences in there, and it's the pick four that starts in race number 6. Obviously, I got Matt Man with me, Ohio's Uncaped Crusader, to discuss all the action. And Matt, this is a pretty interesting sequence. A lot of 2-year-old races.
The whole card is kind of interesting, and it's like it kind of sounds like a broken record saying a huge card at Hoosier Park, but yeah, it's like they got another one now, and it's all for an entire card as Indiana Breds. And yeah, this is one of the guaranteed sequences that encompasses the finals, and we start off with the 2-year-old filly Trotter is always fun, and we have a nice bunch of basically well-mannered fillies, I must say. Very few breaks on the program. Sometimes, you get the lines of 2-year-olds look a little messy, but this is a very talented and well-mannered bunch here.
Yeah, I think both of us would agree that Help Come Laud, number 6, is clearly the horse to beat since joining the Irv Miller barn. Won by 9 lengths and 3 lengths, both times in 55 and change. I mean, obviously that horse is going to be on everyone's tickets, I would think. But I drew a second horse on my pick 4 ticket, and that's the 3 Meadowbrook Ashley. And that was for the reason that Doug Wright, decided to call up Dexter Dunn and say, hey, can you drive my horse again? Last time he drove him was in the Delaware County Fair, ended up winning by 3 lengths and 156. That's a half-mile track. This is 7/8. You would think he'll get a little bit faster with Dunn in the bike on the 7/8, but am I being pulled into a trap, Matt?
Yes. Well, yes, because she's going to be overbet. You kind of said it like, "Ooh, I got a sneaky here." When everybody's going to see that, everybody's going to see Dexter Dunn. And the one time he drove her, although it wasn't at Hoosier, it was at Delaware, like you said, rolled from like well off the pace, which is not the easiest thing to do at Delaware. And yeah, you have to assume getting the perennial driver of the year is going to add a second or two or so. Plus, she draws a decent post inside of her maiden competition, and yeah, she's going to end up taking a ton of action here, and it probably is well deserved also.
If she does pick up a second or two, as you suggest, doesn't that make her the horse to beat?
No, because I think the 6 Help Come Laude is still far and away the horse to beat, and I think will still be although listed as the second choice in the morning. I got to believe that she'll be the favorite, just the way she's dominated in 2 starts since moving to the Irv Miller barn. So yeah, I think she still goes off the favorite, but the 3 is going to take deserving money, strictly on the driver change.
I went too deep with the 3 and the 6. I think you're singling the 6. Was there anyone else you even considered?
I looked at the 4 just because it's Yannick Gingras picking up the drive now for Ron Burke when Trace Tetrick had been driving the horse regularly. Anything for the Ron Burke horse, barn, anything with Yannick Gingras that goes forward. I mean, the horse is competitive here, has to be considered without a doubt. And also the 8, who has been 5 for 9 this year and probably was the leading horse in this division until Help Come Laude, decides to turn things around for a new barn. But listen, all the horses here are talented. They all look nice, but the cream of the crop kind of, rises here for these finals. And I think it's going to end up being pretty formful with the 6, who I am going to end up keying, the Dexter Dunn angle, the 8 angle, because, she's a legit horse, and maybe Yannick on the ticket with the Burke horse.
We're going to move on to race number 7, the second leg of this $10,000 guarantee pick 4. Keep in mind that all of the 2- and 3-year-old finals, they run in a row, 8 races in a row, and it's part of a $10,000 guaranteed pick 8, which is something interesting people might want to try. This race here, I think most people would agree it's kind of a 2-horse race on paper between Some More Blue, the 1 horse, and the 10 Whoomp. These horses have met up a few times in recent weeks, and we're going to take a look at the last time they met up. which was on October the 1st. And we pick it up here with Some More Blue as the one horse is actually, has the advantage over Whoop, who was a bit of a slow to get going, Matt. But, when this horse gets going, boy, this one flies.
Yeah, she was outside a long time, and it just looked like driver John DeLong was taking her time. Maybe knowing what he had, and nailed a perfect trip sitting Some More Blue. Now we get new driver Tim Tetrick on Whoop because John DeLong moves to number 5, who is a DeLong family horse. So that's why he's driving her. Yeah, Whoop, I think, especially with the, I guess, a Tim Tetrick driver change angle is going to pique some interest, and she deserves it. 12 for 7, 3 in a row. You saw the not even asked that much kind of going away win last week or in her last start. So, yeah, I think she is a deserving favorite.
I'm going to be interested to see if Timmy, obviously starting from the second tier here, so he has to overcome that. But Some More Blue is going to come away well enough that it's going to help him out. It'll be interesting to see if Timmy's a little bit more aggressive with this horse. 250,000 on the line, might want to try to make an early brush and go with a little bit different tactics.
Yeah, it depends. Like you said, depends how well she gets away from the second tier. If for some unforeseen reason she gets away, 5th, 6th, 7th, something like that, then I always say a brush, an aggressive brush might be out of the question, unless there's a lot of horses kind of out there moving early and he just gets off the rail, right into the first turn and just kind of follows the flow up towards the lead, which is entirely possible. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the way this race shapes out. Obviously, the one is going to be Some More Blue is going to be prominently placed. Another horse who I like is the $6 million Image. You want to talk about a forwardly placed horse? Might be a little bit of value, I think, maybe coming to this race. And meanwhile, she's 9 for 9 in the money with 4 wins for regular driver Jordan Ross, and it's another one that's done nothing wrong all season, and could be in line for a nice stalking trip, once the dust settles near the front end.
So you went too deep with the 6 and the 10 then?
That's safe to say. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
However,
I decided to single the 10, but
right.
If I was going to use another horse, I agree with you. That's who I would have went with, the $6 million Image. I just thought there was a lot more value going with that one than going with Some More Blue, who's obviously a contender on paper. We're going to move on to race number 8. That is the 2-year-old Colton Gelding Super Final for $250,000 for the Trotters. And I think you'll see with both of our tickets, this is where it starts to get a little hazy for us as far as who's going to win these races. This is a pretty tough race on paper.
Yeah, I had a tough time with this race, without a doubt. Yeah, a lot of formful horses, a couple horses, who were good early on, now kind of regressed and fall into some bad habits, like the 8. Who started off on fire and now is started to break and showing some other miscues, but you get an interesting switch back to Scott Zeron. But yeah, I mean, you can go up and down the line here. So I ended up using 4 horses. I went 4 deep. I'm pretty sure you went 4 deep also, and I think a lot of the people betting this wager are going to kind of spread in this race because it's really hard to single one in this race.
And what I tried to do to separate myself from the crowd a little bit is that I'm not using the morning line favorite, the 4 Swan Effect. Not because I don't think the horse can win. Obviously, the horse is 8 for 8, first or second this year, and basically racing in this series the whole time. I watched the last race. Clearly, Luane Miller showed no sense of urgency to try to win that race, but I didn't think the horse was loaded either. So I felt it was an evenly matched bunch, and when there's an evenly matched bunch, I'd like to toss the favorite. So that's the way I went. And I'll talk about my top pick first, and then we'll hear what you like. I went with the 5 horse Premier Bluebird, who's 7 to 1 on the morning line. I just felt like maybe this horse was getting right at the right time. 2 starts back, won a really nice race and ended up winning. Last time, was absolutely flying from an impossible spot. Was just too far back. And I felt like, maybe this horse is getting into a forward progression of where he needs to be good in these races.
Yeah, you make an interesting point because a lot of the good horses or the top horses in the division, they start out just on fire with wire to wire odds on wins, and then sometimes other horses kind of peak when they're coming to this final. And I did not use the 5 out of my 4 horses, but I certainly would not be surprised if he was a late presence here, at a decent 6-7-1 mutual. For kind of a price, or at least a price on the morning line, I also used the 6 Bravo Alpha. Another scenario, trainer Doug Radhouse calling on a catch driver. And you notice the 2 back when Tim Tetrick drove, he was a winner at a price also. So going back, I'm using that as an angle, much like in the first leg of the sequence. But I also went with more of the logicals. I used the 2, 3, and 4 on the ticket also. For reasons you described with the 4, I don't think he's going to be a big favorite, but yeah, he's probably deserving favorites. The 2, the Irv Miller horse, Dan DeMancan, added Lasix for the first time and improved dramatically, and it was pretty much a wrapped up winner. So there's that angle to consider, and yeah, like I said, wouldn't shock me if anybody won this race, but I'm going to spread 4 deep and not using your price.
Well, I also used the 6 horse. I went 2, 3, 5, 6 in this race. Yeah. The interesting thing I think about the 3 for me with Sunday Swagger is that, people are going to see, winning that race last time on the lead and, didn't really have any pressure and was 7-1 and might kind of discount them this week and not give him that much credit. But I thought it was a very impressive performance. To me, it was really solid with 27 speed at the beginning and 27 speed at the end, Matt.
That barn also does very, very well. Jay Hostetler barn, built into basically an Indiana kind of powerhouse barn the last few years. So anything with that barn obviously deserves respect. And yeah, this guy, record-wise, maybe has a little catching up to do, but talent-wise, especially shown last week, is right there. So he's one of my 4 horses in a race that I'll keep my fingers crossed that I can sneak by.
We're going to move on to the final leg. That's race number 9, Indiana Sire Stakes Super Final for 3-year-old filly trotters, $250,000 again on the line. Obviously, all of these 2- and 3-year-old races are worth $250,000, and the older ones go for $50,000 or $70,000. This is another race where we're both 4 deep in this race, and it's pretty wide open, Matt.
Yeah. Another tough race to figure here with evenly matched 3-year-old filly trotters. And yeah, like you, end up going 4 deep, using the 1, the 5, the 7, and my little price horse, the 4, Let Him Dance, is maybe a horse I'm going to try to sneak in there at a price. And you want to talk about a price? I mean, he went up double digits, all of her recent starts. The 3-year-old filly added Lasix last start, and she had, after leaving early, she had plenty of trot, and once she was clear, and she was a huge price. So you want to talk about forward progression? This is a sneaky one that I'm going to try to, I'm going to use on my ticket and try to sneak into the number somewhere. I use him along with the other logical horses in here.
So you want 1, 4, 5, and 7 in this race?
Correct.
I'm going to talk about the horse that I used. That I also have 1, 5, and 7. My price play is the 9, Better Take 'Em, who has a lot of early speed to, I think, overcome post position 9. I'm going to take a look at a video from last week. And Better Take 'Em was actually sitting in the pocket here. You'll notice him on the inside, number 3, and just couldn't get clearance. Was waiting for room, like had loads of trot. In my opinion, I think this horse would have won this race by a length or more, had clearance been there. And then finally at the last second finds room and gets up and wins at the wire. I think there's some value here, 9-1 in the morning line. And, a horse that, 2 of his last 3 starts were really good, a neck loss and a head win, which, like I said, could have been a length or more.
No, I agree with you. She's definitely a contender in the post. Obviously, Jordan Morris has to be forwardly placed, but I think it's going to be tough for him to work out that same type of perfect pocket trip. Although it only turned out to be perfect last week or last start when she was able to get clear inside. But you notice the long shot, the 4 Let 'Em Dance was finished right in behind those top 3, and all 4 of those horses coming back are all legit players here.
Well, it's certainly an interesting
Um,
sequence. We're going to take. Why don't we take a look at our tickets, Matt? You know, for
that sounds
this
like a
$10,000 pick 4 races 6 through 9. I think we'll bring up my ticket first, and I went with 2 in the first leg, as I discussed. I decided to single Whoop, who's going to be a heavy favorite, but I went without the favorite in race 8, which kind of maybe helps boost up my ticket a little, $16. And Matt also went with a $16 play, similar construction, except for our singles a switch races 6 and 7.
yeah. Saving the best for last. We're going to show my ticket. I looked at the first leg when we talked about Dexter Dunn getting on Meadowbrook Ashley. But I ended up keying Help Come Latte. I looked at it, I said, do I really want to split? Do I really want to double my ticket cost? And I couldn't get past how sharp the Irv Miller trainee, how Help Come Latte has been. And then, I did not key Whoop. I used Whoop. I went with 6 and 10. And then we went.
I think Matt, I'm going to stop you for a second. I think we need to send a phone cable to our video producer and ask him to put up your ticket on the screen so everyone can see it. There we go. Now you can keep talking about it.
I guess the graphics that's a good cue. I ended up keying Help Come Latte. I didn't want to double my ticket price with Meadowbrook Ashley. I just think that she just looks better than these right now. And then he went too deep, $1 Million Image and Whoop. And then we talked the 4x4 scenario for both of us. We're similarly constructed, similar $16 cost. And we'll be similarly cashing, I hope. How about that?
I hope so for certain. There's 15 races on this Harrah's Hoosier Park card on Friday evening. You can watch all the action live. It starts at 5:30. And you'll want to get there early because there's I think a $10,000 guarantee pick 5 right in the opening race, and then they come up with a $10K pick 4, I think, in race 2. So the action will be going on throughout the night. It should be an awesome night for Indiana harness racing. Good luck.